What's up guys, AIRSOFTEK here. Today I talk a little bit about my new Airsoft gun that I just bought. This is used, this is super old, right? So this is a FAMAS, of course, FAMAS F1. As you can see, it's a really nice Bullpup, and as you can hear, it's super squeaky. So yeah, it's not great, but it's really nice, man. Just gonna need to put something in there with a red dot, and that's gonna be nice. Have a bit powder. That's good. So yeah. So basically, that's a super old gun, right? That's a V1 gearbox. So this is a long time I would disassemble that. So why not? So I'm not gonna talk too much about the gun because this is a really basic airsoft gun, and it's not designed to run on an 11.1 LiPo. So I'm gonna have to do some mods to it. Okay, so everything is open. So right there is your hop up, right? So, and that's the secret. There's a secret right there, right? There's a ton of screws and stuff everywhere. If you want to work on that guy, man, you better know what you're doing. So the barrel, it looks like a standard AG barrel. Same for the backing. So that's a good thing. So I'm gonna be able to upgrade it. But at the same time, the barrel is a really weird dent. So I got 450 and I got 509. So that's a 450 right there. Put those guys there. And it's a little bit shorter. So I'm gonna go with a 450. It's a 6.03 tight bore. That's a good one. So that's cool. So that's gonna be it for that. Other than that, yeah, really weird proprietary parts in there. So I'm gonna look what I can change and stuff. The piston looks good, man, to be honest. Everything on there, there's still a lot of grease, right? It doesn't look too bad at all, man, to be honest. That's the weird part about it, man. That gun is so old. So V1 gearbox, man, are well designed, I think. So yeah, and that guy was shooting a little bit low, but this looks like a V3 type kind of spring, right? So if I can put a spring guy with bearing on there, I'm gonna jump a little bit, of course, on the FPS. So that's gonna be pretty much my mods for the FPS thing. And I might have some parts, laying around. Ooh, what is that? Is that a really nice Prometheus cylinder head and a nice Prometheus FAMAS nozzle with double O-ring? Oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, so that's good. So I'm gonna stop kidding around. But yeah, and I wanted to put a MOSFET on it to run 11.1, but the way those guys are wired and all that stuff with the I don't know if that's gonna be possible, right? So I'm gonna have to scratch my head a little bit. Okay, so now I remove everything to the gearbox. I cut the wires for the motor because it was really hard to shim. So now everything is shim, right? No movement, and spin really freely, right? That's when I'm hitting that. Oh yeah, that's really good. And I look at the compression parts, right? So fully open. There's not really any compression in there, right? So that's why I'm gonna change things. So of course, the FPS gonna jam, but there was some weird stuff and all that. But did you already see some shit like that? Look at that piston, man. Piston is good, but I mean the piston has 4 holes and a screw straight on top like that. Holy. Piston is not, it's not too bad, right? Honestly, that's okay, right? A little bit of, you know, nothing crazy. But man, that piston head though, holy moly. Okay, so now the gearbox is upgraded. Threw all my grade in there. That's really good. So first thing first, let me grab something. There was a switch right there. No wire come from there to the motor, and the other one goes into the connectors. So basically this is your safety as far as I understand. So now there's a switch that make the contact or not. So if no contact, well, it's not gonna fire. So that's your safety. So I remove it because otherwise for the MOSFET it will probably not work, right? Because it will probably consider it to have some wire issue, whatever. So you know, probably run into some you know, like protection or whatever. So second thing, the connectors were soldered to the motor. So I mean, I understand all that stuff, but yeah, that's so you know, you don't need motor connector. That's a good thing, right? I will not recommend doing that, but this is what it is. Okay, so now the soldering is done. So I have my wire harness, MOSFET harness in there. So there's those guys. That's pretty good. And I have that dings right there. Good job, right? Very professional. And soldered to the motor like they did because it was too hard to remove all the excess of soldering in there, and one was soldering against, you know, like those. Okay, the coil behind it, the red one and that one, but was kind of soldered those two together, so you know, like it was too annoying to try to, you know. So if I want to remove my gearbox, I unplug it and whoop, I'm gonna put a little piece of electrical tape just around it, just a turn, you know, make sure. But you know, those link connectors are super solid. When it's snap in place, it's snap in place, but just to make sure, you know, no water, no nothing get in there, but can get in there too and fuck that up, so can get in there too and fuck that up, so you know, but still. So the setup is complete. So yeah, now the build is complete, and the guns feels a little bit better, you know. Of course, you know, the motor is, you know, even with 11.1, it's bad, right? But it is what it is. So I just put a Gate Nano in there, but you know, I can put a WarFet or whatever. I have a WarFet, but you know, I didn't mess with it. Well, that's probably what I'm gonna do, you know, like put a little bit of precock on it on semi, and put the full auto on 3-round burst. So you know, I got all the option of the FAMAS Evo and even more, so that's pretty good, right? We got that guy for pretty much nothing, right? So cost me around 120, so that's cool. That's an old gen FAMAS, you know, but yeah, when I was older, I always wanted a FAMAS, you know, to be honest, so, but I got a problem, I got too much airsoft guns. But yeah, so now it shoots 380 feet per second. Before it was shooting, you know, at around 350, 355 with up edges. Now with the up edges, it shoots yeah, 380. So that's pretty good, but I might, you know, like reopen it and put an adjustment ring on the spring guide, just to give that extra 15-20 feet per second. But even then, you know, at 380 up edges, I'm gonna probably jump over 400, so that gun is not gonna be legal. If it's legal right there, so I don't want to run that guy as a DMR, so that's pretty much it. So I'm just gonna plug the battery. Give me a second. Sorry about that. So yeah, so battery is plugged right now. It's 11.1, so that's what I like about having that MOSFET. I can run an 11.1. Like that's the only battery I got, right? I don't have those 96 and those, crazy old battery that doesn't, like. So now it's on 11.1, right? So, like I said, it's not too bad, right? But that motor is slow, and it's much snappier. Like if you cycle to shot, let's say. See what it does? It's sometimes it does those little things like it was doing that all times. So yeah, but that's a long trigger, so you really need to let that trigger reset because it's still on the stuck trigger contact, right? That's why those ETU and DTU are really good. So yeah, so let's switch it to full auto, right? And it's super slow, like I said. So nothing crazy. But yeah, that's way better. Anyway, that's a gun. And I'm gonna try to place shots and fuck. So that's all fine, right? So yeah, so the mods. New cylinder head, new air nozzle with O-ring, and I put the 6.03 450 mil in there. I think the barrel was around 475, 470. It was a little bit longer, and it was a 6.08. So yeah, that's it. And other than that, I think that's. Oh yeah, and I changed a piston head, of course. So piston, it's an old spare parts from I don't remember, but I think that's a G&G piston or something like that, or Spectre arms, those black piston with 14 teeth, and that's it. And I put a nice FPS soft air high speed polymer double O-ring piston head. So that's pretty much it for the mods. And like I said, the motor is really what holding back that guy, man, because otherwise it would be really nice. And those stuck trigger contact, right? You cannot spam the trigger like you want, right? Just jump out. So you need to put it back on full auto and turn back in semi. So that's pretty much it. That's your stuck trigger contact. That's really what holding that guy and the motor. Other than that, it would be an absolutely nice gun. But and it was precise, really nice precision and range out of the box. But with heavy BB, you see it was like struggling a little bit because the barrel was too long and the ratio to air volume per barrel length was too high. So too low, I would say. So yeah, so with a 450, it will perform a little bit better, right? So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So, but in my opinion, if you really want a nice FAMAS, just buy the new Evo with already a MOSFET in it that's built in it, and you don't have to fuck that with those wires and buy like this and that and all that stuff. But if you have the time, you have the knowledge to do it, and you already have one of those guys and those wires, it's not too bad, right? So